All right, good morning, traders. Today is May 6, 2024. Thank you all for being here. Thank you out there in YouTube land and Rumble and Facebook. Thank you for joining my group and my channel. I really appreciate that. I love the kind comments. That makes my day. Thank you. My SPY pivot this morning is 509.55. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Okay, all of the Fab Five are in uptrends. Okay, I don't know why that's in there. FNGU, that does not belong in there. SPY ends the day with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute uptrend, closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Gold and silver both in downtrends, both made lower highs and lower lows, closing under the bearish trap and under the 17 EMA. USO also in a downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under the bearish trap under the 17 EMA. UNG now in a uptrend, that's a change, made a higher high and a higher low, closing over the bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. The US dollar index still in an uptrend, but yet get this, closed the day under the uptrend line around the 105.08 area, headed back toward the daily flat 200 SMA. So we'll see what happens there. All right, let's go take a look at some charts. Disregard this regarding FNGU. So I don't know how that got past me. All right, so yesterday's price action right here. Okay, higher low, higher high. We gapped up. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. And over this red line right here, that would be the all-time high anchored VWAP. Kind of signaling money's coming into the market again. All right, so closing over that. We haven't had a close over that all-time high anchored VWAP since we started it back here on 328. The market is yet to close the day over that all-time high anchored VWAP. So in an uptrend, because why? We're making higher lows and higher highs. All right, so there's SPY. Again, the pivot this morning is right here, 509.54. This is where price action came down to in the morning and then rallied up. They came back to it. They got a little bit underneath it here, and then they just started to consolidate the rest of the day over it. Okay, so this was nice bullish consolidation. We didn't close over 512.70, but I see that we're up there in the pre-market. Hopefully, we can hold this area and bounce north. We'll see what we're going to get. I don't see anything on the economic calendar that's going to help us out. Maybe it's going to be earnings. We'll see what that happens there. It's either going to be earnings or the dollar. So it's one of those two we're looking for help from, because I don't see, it's a really light week on the economic calendar. So there's SPY. All right, so on the 2-hour, you can see the yellow line up over the white line puts us in a 2-hour uptrend. On the 10-minute, when we closed yesterday, we're in a little mini downtrend, kind of consolidation pullback there. But in the pre-market, we have a 10-minute uptrend. All right, so we're looking for green erases red entries over 512.70. Okay, because if we're under 512.70, we're just bound to hit right into resistance. All right, so we want it over 512.70. Green erases red entries over 512.70. That's what I'm looking for. So there's SPY. Let's go back to the daily chart. Take a look at QQQ. One too many Qs there. Missing a Q. There we go. All right, so we got higher lows and higher highs on QQQ. Yesterday's price action, pretty much a copy of SPY. gapped up, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, trying to get that 17 EMA to hook. All right, closing over the 17 EMA. So there's QQQ. And FNGU is going to be the same thing. Gap up, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap. That's the 3 on top of the white. That the 8, 3 EMA on top of the 8 EMA. Okay, so there's FNGU, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap and over the 17 EMA, trying to get that 17 to hook. They tried earlier here. We'll see if they can get it done this
Order
week.
filled.
So there's FNGU. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. All right, Diamond Dow puts in higher lows and higher highs, doing the same thing, just a carbon copy of what happened with SPY and QQQ. Okay, gapped up, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over the 17 EMA. Okay, so take a look at IWM, small caps and mid caps. All right, higher lows, higher highs, makes it an uptrend. All of the Fab 5 are in uptrends, but yet producing bear flags. All right, so here we got a gap up, higher low, higher high, closing over the bullish trap, over the 17 EMA, and actually closing over the midpoint. Good sign for IWM. So that's over the trap, over the 17, trying to get that to hook as well. So there's all of the Fab 5 in uptrends. All right, let's take a look at energy, USO. USO putting in lower highs and lower lows in a downtrend. Yesterday's price action, Friday's price action, lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap, under descending 17 EMA. There's USO. UNG, got some good news for UNG. All right, so here's UNG, puts in, squeaked out a little higher double bottom there. You can see that. See how this is the all-time low there. And we squeaked out a higher double bottom. So that's a higher low right there. And then we just put in, there's a high there. We just put in a higher high, placing UNG in an uptrend, piercing the downtrend line. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap and trying to hook that 17 EMA right there. So UNG now in an uptrend. Take a look at gold and silver. All right, gold puts in a lower high and another lower low here because we had a low here. So we got a lower high, puts in a lower low. Gold in a downtrend. It's actually just consolidation. Friday's price action, lower high, lower low, closing under the bearish trap, under the 17 EMA. They take out this high, they're back in an uptrend. Okay, so there's GLD. Let's take a look at SLV. So here's our precious metals. Doing the same thing here, consolidate, makes a lower low. So here we are, SLV in a downtrend. All right, takes out this high, and they're back in an uptrend right here. So it takes out 25.25, and they're back in an uptrend right there. So, what am I looking for?
Order filled.
Here we are. Yesterday's price action. Mental block there. Lower high, lower low, closing underneath the bearish trap, underneath the 17 EMA. Silver, right now, in a downtrend. It is a pullback. And this is looking ready. This is actually a bullish flag looking ready to pop higher. So there's SLV. The GLD, I think, looks the same way. Yeah, this is actually a bullish flag looking ready to pop higher. So we'll see what happens. All right, it says GLD, SLV. Let's take a look at our technicals. T2122 for Friday's price action. We jumped right into the overbought zone. Nice move there for the bulls. Bears threw us out. Okay, we wound up coming down into the buyer's chop zone. Made a higher low there. Okay, and then made a lower high And then we wound up chopping sideways for the rest of the day in the buy zone. So nice work for the bulls right there. Winding up holding the buy zone all day, not getting thrown out by the bears like we did last time. So we're up over the midpoint. That's this thick yellow line. And we're not in the chop zone, so that's a beautiful thing for the bulls anyways. And that's it for T2122, T2123. Friday's price action, green from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. You can see we gapped up, came back to the 200, the descending 200 SMA, and we found some support on top of that. So that's a good thing. So let's take a look. It's a good thing for the bulls. On T2123 3 bar, all right, here we are in this big bear flag. And you can see we couldn't, well, you can see the 200 SMA did give us some support, but we just stayed there too long and melted through. Now the idea is to get back up on top of it, all right? It's either that or we're in for another leg down to the support area, 630-462, and then hopefully we get a bounce back up there to get back on top of it. But there's the ascending 200 SMA, and you can see we spend a whole lot of time there, almost 2 weeks. We hung out on this 200 SMA. And we were looking for a V-bottom bounce, but we did not get it. We got a bear flag instead. And you can see FOMC started on the 1st of May. And you can see usually we get a nice little pop on FOMC statement. Even though they said they're going to leave rates unchanged, we did not get the pop in the market. So there's T2123. So the FOMC statements have lost their luster. I think the market's waiting for that sign of a cut. We're looking for rate cuts now, okay? No longer is, leaving rates unchanged going to influence the market in any positive way right now. That's the way it seems. So we'll see what happens. Take a look at our FNGU indicator. This is Friday's price action, gapped up, consolidated to the right. You can see here it's green from the beginning of the day to the end of the day and well into the post-market and the pre-market. Just grinding higher there. So there's FNGU. Now let's go take a look at a few sectors and then we'll head back and look at our economic calendar. First sector, SMH. All right, SMH, lower highs, lower lows in a downtrend. Okay, hasn't put in that higher high yet, so we do have the higher low. We need a higher high to call this an uptrend. So SMH still in a downtrend. XLK, that's our technology. XLK in an uptrend, putting in a higher low and a higher high. XLK in an uptrend. That's funny, SMH is not. Okay, so XLK back to uptrend status. All right, let's take a look at XLF. XLF putting in a lower low here. Here's one low. Putting in a lower low, making it in a downtrend. We produced a lower high, but yet here we produced a higher low. So XLF trying to return to the uptrend, currently in a downtrend. Just a big bull flag right there. And it may be like this for the next 6 months. Actually, all of the Fab 5 and the top 3 sectors would be semiconductors, financials, and transports. May just wind up turning out a 6-month bull flag until the holiday season comes in at the end of the year and we get through the election time. So we'll see what happens. There's XLF. Let's take a look at IYT, transports. Transports still in a downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. Yesterday's price action, you can see right here, higher low, higher high, closing under the bearish trap. Wait, let me just check those numbers there. Hold on. Yep, They're different again. Okay, so here's IYT. IYT actually closed over the bearish trap, and over the bullish trap, but under the 17 EMA. So there's IYT right there. Still in a downtrend, closing over the bearish trap, but under the 17 EMA. So that's transports for us. And I just did XLF, right? Yep, did that. Did XLK. All right. Let's go take a look at the economic calendar, see if we got some good news coming out of there. And we'll start off with what's happening this week in the economic calendar. A couple of Fed speakers. None of them are Mr. Powell. Nothing really happening on Monday. Tuesday, Mr. Kashkari is going to speak. Nothing really happening on Tuesday. Consumer credit, 3 p.m. All right. So really, I'm just look at it. This is a really light week for economic data. Wednesday, mortgage applications at 7. Wholesale inventories at 10. You got your petroleum report at 10:30. A couple of Fed speakers. Nothing really market moving here. Okay. And none of them are Mr. Powell. All right. Thursday, jobless claims at 8:30. Got our normal gas report at 10:30 on Thursday. And nothing happening here. I gotta scoot down, make sure somebody's not speaking. Okay. And then on Friday, another Fed speaker, 2 Fed speakers. Goolsby's gonna speak. 3 Fed speakers for Friday. Consumer sentiment at 10 in the morning. Got a rig count at 1. And a Treasury statement at 2 p.m. All in all, it is a light week for economic data. Let's see if earnings can help us out. All right, so earnings for Monday. Really light day here. Veritex Pharmaceuticals only $103 billion. That's not going to move the markets. Tuesday, Disney's going to report $208 billion, and BP $108 billion. Not really going to change the market sentiment looking at Disney and BP. So I don't see anything happening there. So we may be just chopping sideways for the rest of the week. On Wednesday, Toyota Motor is going to report, if they can find their P&L, $320 billion. Uber, $143 billion. They're going to report. ARM Holdings, $104 billion. Budweiser's going to report $103. Airbnb, $103. Nothing really is going to rip the market in one direction or the other here. Just some familiar names, but nothing that's really going to change. Nothing here is going to change the direction of the market, which looks to me like it's going to be sideways. Thursday, Petrobras is going to report, if they can find their P&Ls, and another light day for earnings on Friday. Another light day for Friday. So nothing. Let's see what the 13th brings us. And another light day for earnings on Monday. So all in all, it's a light week for earnings and economic data. So whatever direction we're headed off into, which seems to be north, all right, probably going to get just more of the same, unless somebody pops in with a Fed announcement, or Mr. Powell takes a speaking engagement somewhere and decides to speak, and then that will be the highlight of the week for economic data. All right, so for Max Payne for today, supposedly 509. Hey, that's my pivot. Max Payne is 509. Put to call ratio 1.16 puts for every call, and that's regarding the options that expire today. All right, so let's take a look at the US dollar index. Okay, so Here's the dollar starting an uptrend here. All right, well, currently in an uptrend since beginning of the year or the end of the year. All right, beginning of the year, the end of last year. All right, so you can see got a higher low, and we're putting in higher highs and another higher low, more higher highs, and you can see what happened here. Yesterday's price action for the dollar, this is a daily candle. You can see we got a lower high, and we got a really spike, a lower low, and you can see right there, there's the uptrend line for that US dollar uptrend, and we spiked that uptrend line pretty hard, and we managed to close underneath it. So here we are with the dollar kind of falling or dipping this morning. So that could provide us some momentum and a little bit of lift to where we're headed, hopefully back to the prior highs. So there's US dollar getting weak. Again, US dollar gets weak. That helps our markets, especially the U.S. market, because it makes our goods and services more affordable to the foreign countries. So U.S. dollar currently in a pullback, headed back towards, well, this flat 200 SMA, which is the blue line right here. So there's U.S. dollar index. All right, other than that, that's about it for this morning. Unless you got any questions, I'll take questions if you got questions. If not, I'm going to render my video. Hey, good morning, Chip, Marley, Gilbert, Alan, LEG, JW, everybody. Thank you. Julie, thank you. All right, traders, all right. I'll see everybody on YouTube land and Rumble land. I'll see you guys in Facebook at 4 p.m. And for everybody in the room, I'll answer questions. If there's no questions, then I'll return at 9:15 and we'll get this market open.